All right, we back. Welcome to another edition of Art Week TV, Des Moines, and we got guests today. We're not alone. I'm normally in the guest seat. Just talking my butt off. But today I got a partner, my man Jay Vigon, and he is a designer. I'm not gonna tell you what he designed just yet because it's real dope. But Jay is a designer here in town. He's stationed down at Mainframe. I come here often, and usually it's just looking at, I don't want to say regular people, but just normal local art. And then I'm standing in front of this place and I go, these album covers, and I'm like, oh, this might be a DJ. And you go, the DJ, it's got to be a DJ because these records are too huge. And I'm like, but it's an art gallery. Let me go in here and see what's going on, man, because something's funny. And I go in and I meet this guy, Jay, the designer of the great Purple Rain album cover, the Eddie Van Halen, that little kid smoking the cigarette? This guy.
My wife did that.
Your wife? His wife
the
did that.
original painting.
It's in the same household.
Yeah.
Well, now you got to debate who is the best.
I did the most.
You did the most? Okay. Yeah, but we got Jay here, man. Tell us about this wonderful journey you took to Purple Rain.
Purple Rain. That in and of itself wasn't a real extravaganza. It was all done through Warner Brothers. And
So Prince is not your best friend?
Not yet.
I thought that's how you get that job. I swear I thought that's how you get that job.
No, I never met him. We never talked. Most of the people I worked with, I got to know.
Okay.
I don't know where Prince was at the time. He may have been on the road or
He was there.
or somewhere.
In order, right?
But Warner Brothers called me, said that they had a new album coming up and a movie. So they asked me to do the work for both.
Did you know how big that was?
I had no idea. I knew about Prince and I'd seen him a lot.
Okay.
And he was on television a lot back then.
Right.
But
it was just, you did other albums before that. It was just another one,
well,
right?
I worked on over 100 albums.
What was the biggest one that you did at that time? Or did you were any of your work like considered big yet?
Well, I worked with Fleetwood Mac. That was a huge project. Bon Jovi.
Okay.
The Doobie Brothers. It goes on.
So by that time, that effect had went away.
No, it was just because a lot of times you didn't know that person was going to be famous.
Right.
Like I knew that Prince was popular, but I
you
didn't know that this was going to skyrocket.
You didn't know he was going to end up the symbol, and people refer to him as the sign, right?
Yeah. So it's like working with somebody like even Tom Petty. I did the logo for him.
Which one is your favorite? Like, I like this music and I got to do it. Like, freaked you out, you got a chance to do it.
Everybody always asks me about what's my favorite, but it's really difficult because every one of them has a story to it.
Yeah, okay.
So, I met Tom Petty a few times, but that was his first album.
Right.
So I didn't know he was going to be world famous.
Y'all, we was just hanging.
I didn't know Bon Jovi was going to be world famous. It's all these people that you just.
When you hear a guy named Bon Jovi, he kind of sound like he's gonna be it. No.
He was a nice guy. We did the photo session in New York, and then came back and I designed the rest of the cover and his logo, which has been on about $1 billion worth of merchandise.
Man, that is.
By the way, I don't get any money for that.
That's
I get paid one time, and that's it.
Right. That's how most of them, especially back in that day. Did you do like the covers the way they used to do graphics in the magazine with the stencil and the little knife pen?
Yeah. Well, A lot of it, because I used to do all of the liner notes as well.
Yeah.
And back then, you didn't have the typography
Yeah.
on the computer.
On the computer.
You had to, you know, it was all made by typographers, and you would have that, and you'd have
Right.
a little
That blew
point,
me
and you'd
away.
have to, like, oh, I gotta cut out the A on this thing.
And the first time I saw it, like I started, I was born when they still did it that way. But by the time I started doing graphics and stuff, it was on Photoshop. It was on Paint, Microsoft Paint, which is that's
Yeah.
early stuff. But
But I would tell you that most of the stuff that I did was done by hand back then. So even the logos were all done by hand.
and then they just take the pictures of it.
Yeah.
That's how
did
you get into
really, really
digital
good.
copy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Man, that's what I was looking up. You know, I have my little run of stuff that I do for graphic design. I do a lot of mixtape covers, which is album covers, and if you don't got a record deal. So that's why I appreciate what you do a lot. You know, and I come in, I watch it, and even when you ain't there, and I'll just come back and look and see what from each set of what is. I can kind of follow because I've been through the process of, you know, doing one project, clearing your brain out, starting a whole new project, clear it out, because you got to flush it out just to catch that, or for me, I do. Do you have that kind of thing?
Well, you also have to meet deadlines. I've never missed a deadline. And so,
yeah, that would change.
back when I was doing a lot of the album cover stuff, I was doing a lot of other things too.
Right.
And so you had to take your time, and you're looking, oh, I better start on this, because that's going to be in front of that
do
one
know.
and that one. So sometimes, you know, I'd have 6 or 7 things to work on in a day.
Did you have a process to that? Because nowadays, so I do a lot of music production, and it's the deadlines is what kill you. So people want to be on time with the deadlines, so they find stuff to manufacture stuff quickly. You know, they'll get a program where it plays the chords all together with one finger on the keyboard. Did you have anything like that, or did you just, I'm just workaholic on each one of these things and it's coming?
I tended to just work real hard every day.
Just work real hard.
I did have an assistant
That's
that
the only
helped
way.
me out for many years.
I keep asking for the shortcut from everybody. There's no shortcut around hard work, right?
Yeah, so but when computers started coming out, then I needed somebody, because I was still drawing, but then it had to be put in the computer to keep up with what was going on. But, you know, you can't miss deadlines for magazines.
Yeah.
So I used to do a lot of work with fashion advertising.
Yeah.
And, yeah, you don't want to miss, I mean, you don't want to miss getting it into the magazine. That's really bad.
Yeah, and you're done after that.
So,
So during this time, doing like Prince and stuff, that's 84, and you're in LA. What's going on at that time that, like, to be involved in all of that stuff, you gotta be in the scene. You're in the Hollywood area somewhere, right?
yeah, well, I was recommended to all of the major labels. So I was running all over LA. You know, Warner Brothers is on the other side of the hill, and then there's CBS, and then there's Motown, and then, you know, on and on and on.
You're running in and out of those
And so, yeah, you're just going all over.
And you used to stage like the photo sessions and everything too for them.
Yeah,
right?
that was back in the day, again.
Right.
A graphic designer was different than they are now.
Right.
A lot of graphic designers now are just people that sit behind the computer. But back then, the graphic designer was known as the guy that's running the show. You know, he's been given a project.
He's like the director.
And so we would pick the photographer that we thought was best, and we would, you know, if it was painting, we'd paint. If it was airbrushing, it was airbrushing. I mean, you name it.
Right.
And like I said, down to the liner notes. And
It's
and
just
all
being an
that.
artist. It's really just being an artist straight up, but you got a purpose.
Yeah. But yeah, I think of it it was the art of graphic design back then.
Because that's when I got the respect for it. Once I started to do my research and stuff, I got into fashion, and I started looking at fashion and how they used to do it, and I saw somebody doing the graphics with the stencil and cutting it out with the blade, and what the heck? I thought that was just for that one. I saw it, and I'm starting to notice, and I'm like, Siri, search graphic design in the 70s, right? And then it comes up, and then I seen this whole new world of stuff, and then, you know, it took me to go, okay, I gotta be something else. I feel real cheesy now, sitting on the computer. And it don't matter if I get good at it or not. I don't really care if I have, you know, I just wanna go through the steps to make sure that I know what I'm supposed to know.
Well, luckily, I went to a great art school.
Right. What school?
And the Art Center College of Design.
Okay.
And that was a 4-year course, and that's all you did. And you had a lot of midnight kind of stuff.
Okay.
You're working day and night, and you got to learn about all the different things. It wasn't just graphic design, but it was about advertising, and it was about typography, and I mean, you name it, photography.
Yeah.
We had to get into all this stuff, and that's what graphic design was like back then.
Because it prepared you. I call this your weapons.
Yeah.
You know, you start off and you say, okay, I could draw this picture, but it'll look better if I did it in a photo. And then you got the photo skills. So it's like, okay, even if I did it in photo, I'm an expert at lighting, and I know how to get this crazy. Matter of fact, I don't have to do no graphics at all. I can just take this picture, draw the name on top of it, and it's done, you know. And that's what I see from, like, artists that went to school versus artists like myself. I come together and, like, piece that together. One thing taking me to the next thing, you know, starting with making beats, and then I learned to record, and then I learned to do the artwork for the album covers, and then I learned to do the photos for the campaign, and through the whole process, I ended up learning all of this stuff, and then by the end of it, I didn't want to do it for nobody. It's like, I just want to make art, man. I just want to make my stuff. I'm tired of people telling me what to do, so that's where I'm at now.
Well, people telling me what to do was one thing I avoided my whole time.
At all times.
I never worked for anybody else.
Right.
I was always freelance.
See, I worked for myself, but I was under the restriction of trying to learn this stuff the technical way, make sure that I know what I'm supposed to know, even though I'm not going to school, you know.
Yeah. Well, I started taking art lessons when I was in grade school. My parents allowed me and my brother to go to art school.
What did you draw back then?
What?
What did you like to draw when you were young?
Oh, cars and things like that, you know, and goofy faces, you know, when you're, you know, like 8 years old or something.
Right. When I was young, I drew X-Men all the time. It was my little friends drew X-Men, and that was my thing, Marvel Comics style.
The funny thing about me was all the way through high school and all that, I never got A's in art.
But that's
the teachers would always want you to do something their way. And I'd sit down and I'd start drawing and go, whoa, maybe I could do that. And then the teacher come over and that's not what I told you to do.
I heard that from Stan Lee one time. He was saying, you know, as the graphics and the guys were getting better, and they would submit them art for the new Spider-Man and stuff like that. And we're not doing that stuff. But then he said he finally, one kid did it. What am I talking about? One kid. What's the guy made Spawn?
Up here?
Spawn, the comic book Spawn. McFarlane. I can't remember his first name. But that dude, he did a Spider-Man, and it like changed everything to a way of just adapting. What ways have you had to adapt over all this time?
Well, the big change was tech.
Tech.
And I got lucky. I've been kind of lucky, you know, meeting the right people and doing this. But I've also always had this thing about when somebody says, "Do you think you can do this?" I usually say yes, even if I don't
You
know
don't know how
a
to
damn
do
thing
it.
about it. And so one day, a friend of mine who was a director, a commercial director, came to me and said, "My clients want moving graphics to go over moving video, but nobody knows how to do it." And he said, "Do you think you would know what to do?" And I said, "I'll give it a shot." So I went deep into looking at how to make
Move
this
that.
happen, and I came up with a way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else had done it.
And
And so turned out that this graphics that I made wound up on a national AT&T commercial.
oh,
The next day that ran,
mm-hmm.
I got calls from all over the country from production houses that wanted
How you
to
do
take
that?
me in. So I went to a place in New York, and I was working on graphics for the next 4 years, 200 days a year.
Wow.
And then one
Just
day,
just off the bat.
somebody calls while I'm working on graphics, and they say, "Hey, you think you'd be interested in directing the commercials and doing the graphics?" And I said, "Sure." What? I tell you,
Hey, how do you think I got here?
I walked out on the stage for the very first time. I was petrified. I mean, because I'm working like with myself and maybe
Yeah.
one other person for
Yeah.
years, and then all of a sudden you go in and there's 50 people standing around, with all kinds of
Yeah.
equipment and this and that, and people running back and forth, and it was like, okay.
But
But
that
then-
probably happened every time. Every time though, like every
Yeah.
time you did something that worked out real good for yourself, you
So
felt like
then
that
I
before.
that was another career. that I
Yeah,
started.
yeah,
And I started directing TV
yeah.
commercials.
That's
And I don't know that today's graphic designer is thinking that way.
yeah,
But I would just say yes
right.
to the challenge, and I think that was one of the most important things for me.
And that's kind of like a relief for me because that's how I am, and that's why I can't tell you what I do. I can't tell you. I do all of it. I know how to do all of it, and depending on the project, that's what I love the most. Right now, I'm into streaming, and it's not looked at as an art form, but it's the same thing. Nobody knows how to do it right, and just being on the cusp of it and having background of just knowing how video works and knowing the graphics all the way down. Like I know you can make a commercial off just graphics, just working through live stream that way. Now what can I do with that? Knowing how to do that. So I'm here now and I'm streaming, and it's gonna get weird after Art Week is over. But
Well, people often ask me, "Oh, you're an artist." They say, "What kind of art do you do?" They assume that you do one thing.
right, yeah.
I just tell them it's been a long and varied career,
And
and I've loved every bit of it.
I'm glad to hear it because it's, for me, people put you in the box. They don't know what to call you unless you say you do something. And, based on what you need from me, that's what I'll tell you. If I do photo work for you, I'm not gonna call myself a music producer. I do photos when I work with you, and so everybody knows me from different stuff. So I just make them call me Tone, Tone, and everybody kind of knows now. If you need something, go see that dude because he knows stuff.
So, yeah.
It's like being like the old farmers here in Iowa. They know everything. If you meet one there, they
Yeah,
never
start
tell
talking
you
to
no.
a farmer. They never stop.
But out of all of this stuff, this wild career, what tempts you to come to the Midwest, to Iowa?
Well, that's just one of those things that people probably wouldn't expect. It's because we have a grandson here. One of my daughters lives here.
Okay.
And my wife, who's also a great artist.
Right.
We met in art school, by the way. I
Right.
don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
So we've been working together for 48 years now.
And
But,
she's
so
from
we're
here.
here.
She's from here.
no, she's
Just
Californian
just
too.
your daughter just happened to move here. And
Yeah.
okay, okay. That's
Yeah,
why.
she didn't like the big cities, so, yeah.
Huh. That's a career decision. But you got a record like that, man. People find you. It don't matter. You could go to the Netherlands and have to shake off work.
You know, it's funny that I do get, people send me stuff from all over the world saying, hey, look who copied your work.
Your stuff, yeah.
Yes, so, yeah, one of them was recently, I think it was out of Denmark, somebody sent me one of a coffee house called Prince.
With your font.
And the font was right there on.
How do you
on
feel
the
about
map.
that? Cause like, so I go on the internet sometimes when you try to meet the deadline, you just go and you get the already made fonts and stuff, right? And your stuff is there on every site. Every site got a Prince font.
Mhm.
They different a lot of times, but it's still made up the same premise
You know,
of what you
it's
got.
one of
How do
those-
you feel about that? Cause
You know, it swings two ways for me. One is I've been ripped off. The other one is, gee, I've got something that's world famous.
that's world famous. Right, right.
So
Because-
it's like there was a Prince. There was a show about a month ago.
Mhm.
I don't know if you saw that one on TV.
No.
It was all about Prince, and my graphics were
Uh,
all over that for 2 hours on TV, and they were just showing that stuff was it.
And
I'm
do you
thinking-
sit there and like just remember the night that you drew it? Like,
And I'm thinking, gee, there's millions of people looking at my graphics right now. It happened to me also with Tom Petty when he did the Super Bowl a few years ago.
Yeah.
When I didn't even know it was going to happen.
You got
So,
your stuff at the Super Bowl.
I'm
In the
sitting-
graffiti world, that is the king right there. Like, you get the graphic, it wasn't meant to be there when I did it. It wasn't meant to do.
But when, so I'm out near Adele at some friend's houses on Super Bowl day, and there's about 15 people there with a big screen TV, and it comes halftime, and all of a sudden they roll out the stage, and the stage is
The
the
graphic.
logo that I made.
And you fall out on the
And
floor.
I'm sitting there going like this, 'cause I didn't know it was going to happen.
Mm.
And so I'm sitting there going, and I just happened to say, I did that. And everybody looks at me like,
Yeah.
what? What do you mean you did that? I said, the stage, I designed that. And they're going, it just
That's,
didn't compute.
yeah, like, just to sit there, you didn't even mean to have like that effect. It's just dawned on you. You go, oh yeah, I did that. It's normal talk to you, but for the people around, who is this dude talking about he made the stage, right? Well, you got this website that's up called Creative Vision, right?
I've got Creative Vision is yeah, that's one of my websites.
Well, Graphic Vision. I'm sorry, it's Graphic Vision.
Yeah,
And
but it is creative.
right. That's what I knew. I knew I had to see creative in that.
Yeah.
So you go to